News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. Data from the Utah Department of Health indicates by today the number of doses of COVID-19 vaccines went past 3 million people. 6,578 were inoculated, have been inoculated since Tuesday. Also, more than 2.9 million Utahns have been tested for coronavirus, and 5.29 million tests have been administered in the state since the start of the pandemic. More than 6,800 people were tested for the first time since Tuesday, and 11,602 tests were administered. There were 6 new COVID deaths reported statewide today, and there have been 2,447 total deaths in Utah since the start of the pandemic, including 114 in Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. The Wednesday report from the state indicates 843 new coronavirus cases, which is 194 more than the current 7-day average for positive tests. Last Wednesday also surpassed 800 new cases. The Bear River Health Department reported 22 new cases in the district since Tuesday for a total of 22,944 cases. 22,457 of them are considered recovered. The state health department said that 430,143 total positive cases have been detected in Utah the last 16 months. The new Wednesday report leaves the rolling 7-day average in Utah at 649 a day. KBNU News Time is 4:06. KBNU weather for tonight. Patchy smoke this evening. Otherwise, mostly cloudy, scattered showers and thunderstorms, and then partly cloudy after midnight. Overnight low in the lower 60s. About a 40% chance of precipitation this evening. Partly cloudy, slight chance of showers and storms Thursday morning. Then partly cloudy and a 40% chance of showers and storms in the afternoon on Thursday, high around 90. And chances are only going to increase as we head into the weekend. 60% chance of storms Friday and a 70% chance on Saturday and Sunday. Before the clouds rolled in, 95 has been our high. It is 84 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Maple Spring Senior Living. Transitional rehab is perfect for an aging loved one recovering from an illness or surgery. They offer speech, occupational, and physical therapy and pain management and 24-hour access to care. Learn more at maplespringsnorthlogan.com.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. Utahns are doing better than expected this fire season, with no significant fireworks-related wildfires popping up near Pioneer Day. KUTV reports last week firefighters statewide responded to 11 wildfires that were caused by people. That's fewer than any previous Pioneer Day holiday week on record, according to Kate Webb, the state's fire prevention coordinator. Webb is glad the public is listening and responding to the heightened concern during this year's hot, dry conditions. Also last week, 69 naturally occurring wildfires started in Utah. Webb wrote that additionally, despite challenging conditions, local fire department and district initial attack efforts have been successful. New starts have been suppressed quickly, and wildfires have been kept small across the state. Firefighters put out all of last week's wildfires within the first day, according back to the state. And Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson announced the official launch of the Return Utah program Tuesday morning. The pioneering initiative aims to expand workforce opportunities in Utah for those re-entering the workforce after an extended absence. The first cohort of the new program is now live, with jobs posted on the Internet. Applications are being accepted through August 1st with an expected start date of September 7th. The positions are designed for those who are looking to re-enter the workforce after an extended absence of 2 or more years. The cohort is structured to provide applicants with the experience, training, skills, and mentoring needed to return to the workforce. Lieutenant Governor Henderson said that they invite those who are ready to return to work to join the Return Utah program, as their experience, creativity, and excitement in the workforce are needed. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Where you find out. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
All right, Taylor, you got your cowboy hat?
Check.
Horse?
Already saddled.
Horse trailer?
Of course.
What about your boots?
Still got my pink ones.
What about trucks, Taylor? I'm not seeing very many trucks on our lot at West Motor. I don't want to hear back-ordered, postponed, out-of-stock, microchip shortage, or any of that crap. I want to hear something positive.
I can do that. Hold on to your bootstraps, because it's time for the famous West Motor Rodeo Day sale.
It's no secret that inventory is limited, but the quickest and best way to get your new Ram truck is to have one built especially for you. Get the features you want, the equipment you need, and the right color without paying for anything that you don't want. We'll throw in some big discounts, and Ram will build that truck just the way you like it.
That's what we do around here. We find solutions.
Simply come into West Motor Company in Preston, and we'll get your new Ram truck ordered and send you home with a couple of our famous West Motor Rodeo jackets.
West Motor, how the West was won. WestMotorCompany.com.
Attention homeowners! You may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, it helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Utah Army National Guard. Aired by the Utah Broadcasters Association and this station.
Trouble with pain, sleep, or anxiety? Want better health? Try CBD7, the CBD experts. You simply can't get this water-soluble CBD at grocery, convenience, or health food stores. Water-soluble CBD7 absorbs 15 times better and tastes great. CBD7 has the only clinically proven formula with real measurable results. Many feel better in minutes. CBD7 is not a drug and has no side effects. Other CBDs just can't do all that. Visit CBD7 today. Learn about CBD and try our best for free.
And the winner is Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson, voted best appliance dealer in northern Utah.
This is Jay at Daryl's Appliance. We sincerely thank you, Cache Valley, for your vote. We want to share more great news by introducing the newest member of our Scratch and Dent family, Whirlpool. That's right, we now carry Whirlpool-made appliances at Scratch and Dent prices, always backed by our exclusive 2-year warranty and our famous Daryl service team. Come check us out today. Daryl's, west on Airport Road.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Wednesday, July 28th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. We might get some rain. Maybe.
Every place around us is getting rain.
Yeah, there was rain in Logan Canyon today. Some friends reported that. Rain over in Garden City. Rain to the east of us as well. You can see that happening right now.
And these storms are they're not really moving. They just kind of pop up and just, because there's nothing to really move them around, so they just stay there and dump.
Well, hopefully that's what happens rather than just no water and lightning, which was a pretty big concern with this particular storm system moving through. It's about 3, maybe even 4 days of potential thunderstorms. Each thunderstorm, of course, is a potential for lightning. Each bolt of lightning is a potential for a wildfire. So they're definitely keeping an eye on this one. Forestry managers have volunteer teams out, I heard today. I always wondered how they did this, but they have volunteer teams. They have scouters. And these are people, sometimes they're actual employees of the Forest Service, or the Utah Division of Natural Resources gets involved sometimes. Department of Public Safety has been involved before as well. And so sometimes they're on staff, they're paid employees, but a lot of them are volunteers from different areas of the state, people who have signed up in the past to be storm watchers, to say, a thunderstorm comes through, and they just kind of keep a close eye on the hills around them in certain remote areas of the state. And the minute they see smoke coming from an area where likely there are not people.
Yeah.
It's not a diesel truck or something like
but
that.
But where a thunderstorm's
just come through. And I'm not sure if they call a number or what, if they have some sort of 800 number they dial, but they report that as quickly as possible. And so those teams are very active right now throughout the state of Utah as this storm system, as Bill mentioned, just kind of, it's sort of, looking at the projected radar images, it sort of looks like it just sort of swirls around us for a while. So hopefully we get some rain out of it.
That'd be nice.
It looks like our chances go up as the week progresses. Chances are pretty low today that we get, although, as Bill mentioned, some areas around us that we can see right now, out to the east, it's pouring out there about 10 miles east of us.
They did say east of the Wasatch Front, and by extension, that's the Cache Valley, even though technically we're not part of the Wasatch Front. But anyway, they said east of this area is where the bulk of the rain is supposed to be.
And I hope so.
Eastern part of Utah, southwest Wyoming. So we'll see.
At very least, we've got the illusion of it cooling down a little bit, with the air moving around, things like that.
Well, it's down to 83 with the outflow from some of these storms around
chilly.
us. Yeah, it was 95 today. I didn't think it got that hot, but I guess it did.
I'm going to have to go get my jacket. So this is an active time for thunderstorms in general. But, of course, this year there is additional concern about, again, these thunderstorms, lightning-sparked wildfires and things like that. If you're curious about this, I find this very interesting, but there's actually a kind of an equation that's used on prioritizing. If a thunderstorm comes through, and we've had this happen here in Utah before, if a thunderstorm comes through and, say, a couple of flashes of lightning, suddenly you've got 3 wildfires burning in 3 different remote areas, visible and the authorities have been notified. They have a sort of an equation, a bunch of factors that they consider on deciding what's a priority or what doesn't even make the list. There are certain areas in the state where if a wildfire is spotted, these are usually areas where a wildfire would be spotted by maybe a large column of smoke, which isn't going to be visible if the air is moving like this in a storm, which is usually the case, but can be spotted. They have helicopter surveillance that goes out and flies around. And they'll spot these wildfires, and sometimes they're so remote and headed towards a natural fire break, like a deep canyon that's maybe mostly rock. And so they'll let it burn. They'll just keep an eye on it, fly out and check on it twice a day, but otherwise let it burn. Obviously, if it's headed in a direction towards structures or where people live, or an area where that wildfire could quickly get out of control, then they bump it up the priority list, and mitigation efforts begin immediately. Oftentimes in those most remote areas, mitigation efforts can be as simple as a truck full of people with shovels heading out and prepping a fire line of some kind in the hopes that would be enough to stop it. Other times, of course, air support has to be brought in. Occasionally, I didn't know this until today, but occasionally they actually have to go out, and because it's in an area that's remote but could quickly become an issue for populated areas, occasionally they have to go out and immediately put the fire out because the risk is so high. And apparently there was one of those last summer here in Utah. Never heard about that. There was a small wildfire sparked by one of those very few thunderstorms we got last summer. I think was it end of July, Bill, that we had a stretch of thunderstorms? I think maybe early August. But
I remember in August.
Apparently there was a pretty concerning wildfire, very small at the time that it was spotted, but it was in an area where it was going to burn straight down a couple of stretches of canyon and quickly become a problem for places where people live. And so they actually flew out and put that one out, concentrated all their efforts on putting that one out. Never made the news. So this happens a lot, actually. And there are also, of course, local firefighting teams that sometimes take care of a situation before it even becomes something the state is paying attention to.
The ones we hear about is where the smoke is visible to a lot of people, or it's growing. It's like 200, 300, 400,
Sure.
or even 50 acres, as long, if it's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And it's not snuffed out within an hour. We'll hear about those.
This is also some interesting information from the Utah Fire Information Service. They put all this out today. If you want to see it, I've linked to it on our Facebook page. But this is just random trivia about fires here. There's a stretch. We know it. Maybe I'm dating myself here, and a lot of people are going to wonder what I'm talking about. But I would guess most will know what I'm talking about. We call it here in Cache Valley. We call it the Old Highway. This is when you make a left at the bottom of the canyon. When you come out of Sardine Canyon, you turn left and head through the
Mount Sterling,
the produce section. No, on the other side. You turn left and head through the fruit highway. The fruit highway, basically. Yeah. And I always knew that as the Old Highway. I mean, it was the Old Highway, but through that stretch, they had over the last 2 years, they had to fight 8 different side of the road fires through there. Now that stretch would be from the Old Rocky Point location, basically into downtown Ogden. That was the stretch they were referring to, and 8 different fires sparked on the side of the road, and in some cases no cause ever determined, but they were able to get out and put those out quickly. I didn't know that was such a concern, but apparently through a lot of that area, there's a lot of agricultural land that is, a lot of it not used for agriculture anymore. It's just kind of sitting there, waiting for apparently the price to be right for selling it for development. I don't know. That would be my guess. And so there was a lot of concern that should those go up, and should it be on the west side of the road, east side of the road, and head straight up those hills where North Ogden, for example, has basically become a hillside community. There was a lot of concern over that, so a lot of effort put into putting those fires out quickly. But I had no idea there were so many. So
that was amazing.
Yeah,
I learned that.
8 different roadside fires.
Wow.
In one summer season, but not as many here in northern Utah. And so far, we are here in Utah actually we're reducing the number of wildfires that are currently going on. Now, hopefully this thunderstorm chain that's going to be hovering around and pretty active for the next 3 or 4 days doesn't change that. But we are actually down 2 wildfires from where we were before the 24th of July holiday weekend here in Utah. So Idaho, not so lucky. They're actually up 3. They have 3 more since last weekend. But the smoke, of course, it's still pretty hazy out there. Some of this is probably dust from the wind, but even before the wind kicked up, it's still pretty hazy out there. And that is still smoke from California. Yeah. Making its way on that jet stream into most of the west. So.
Although it's not as bad as a few days ago, because I think it was the northerly flow who were getting Idaho and the big fires in Montana.
Oh, sure.
But we don't have the smoke from those areas. I don't think
it's pretty
last
bad
couple
out there.
Days. Yeah.
There were actually my little weekend trip. There were actually some flights delayed due to low visibility because of smoke in the Colorado area. So. Yeah, it's still out there. It's pretty thick. This will blow a lot of it out, but it's also going to turn up a lot of the dust And, it's just an interesting weather weekend, or weather week is what it's going to be. But cross your fingers, no wildfires sparked by any lightning, and we get nothing but gallons of rain, or at least a few days break from the heat at very least. Coming up, the numbers, so some conflicting messages here in Utah. The Utah Department of Health today basically put the entire state back into a high transmission category for COVID-19. Now, of course, the rules of the game, quote unquote, have changed a bit with nearly 50% of the state vaccinated. This is entirely a pandemic of the unvaccinated at this point, though the CDC throwing out some twists today or yesterday, saying that there's growing evidence that those who are vaccinated, though they don't very often become very sick or end up in the hospital for COVID-19, contracting COVID-19, growing evidence that they can spread it just as easily as someone not vaccinated. So they're protected from getting sick, going to the hospital, or even dying from COVID-19. About 97% is roughly how much protection they have based on the data here in Utah. But they can still give it to others, even if they are protected themselves. They can contract the virus, even if you're vaccinated, and incubate it at a lower level, but still spread it. So the CDC yesterday recommending that in high transmission areas, we go back to masks in all indoor locations. Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, Arizona, all of California, well, all of the southern half of California, most of Oregon, all in the high transmission index categories as of today. That said, a lot of things are returning. We're going to be talking about some of those things today, some baby steps back into some of the things that go on here in Cache Valley that have been on pause for a long time. One of those, a lot of caregivers here in the Valley are going to be very excited about. It is the Dementia Dialogue Series, and this is just one of many things the Sunshine Terrace Foundation is firing back up. And like I say, this is going to be good news to caregivers, even better news to those who benefit directly from some of these programs. We'll be talking about it with our good friend Amy Anderson, talking about Dementia Dialogues returning, and also an opportunity for classes, again, for caregivers here in Cache Valley. That's coming up later on in the show. This is some news coming in here right now that's right in line with what we were just talking about, Bill. News update coming from the CacheValleyDaily.com KVNU newsroom just down the hall. Mask mandate has been reinstated for courthouses throughout the majority of Utah. And this includes Cache and Box Elder counties. The order issued by the Utah Supreme Court Chief Justice Matthew B. Durant goes into effect this Friday at both district and justice courts. The news report goes on. Chief Justice Durant's order requires patrons and court personnel to wear a mask if the court is located in a county that has been designated as moderate or high transmission index county by the Utah Department of Health. And again, that is basically all but 2 counties here in Utah right now. And we'll have, Will just brought us in that story. We'll have more on that on the next newscast. All right. Things, again, sort of conflicting messages here. It's a continued pandemic, but more so a pandemic of the unvaccinated at this point. But the numbers are increasing again here in Utah, and some of these mask mandates are coming back. We could avoid all of this. 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
The votes are in. The Cache County Fair and Rodeo has been voted Best of Northern Utah for Best Annual Event. This really is Northern Utah's favorite annual event, probably because there's so much to see and do. Animals and exhibits, vendor booths and entertainment, all kinds of tasty foods, carnival rides, and the area's longest-running, most popular world-class rodeo. The Cache County Fair and Rodeo, August 11th through the 14th.
Come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair. I'm Larry Gelwigs, the getaway guru for Columbus Travel and Royal Caribbean International. Now's a great time to book your next Royal Caribbean cruise with Columbus Travel and get 60% off the second guest and an extra savings of up to $150 per booking. Book your next cruise now while promotions are high and prices are low. For the best travel deals on the planet, call Columbus Travel, 800-373-3328 or online at columbusvacations.com.
Procrastination isn't a valid retirement strategy. If your saving for a retirement approach involves the phrase, "I'll get around to it someday," it's time to make someday into today. Edward Jones can help. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. When it comes to meeting your retirement goals, time can be on your side, and there's no better time than now. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. 3 Utah lawmakers. It's been interesting to see the reaction to this one because a lot of people, the majority reaction, even from other lawmakers, seems to be that these 3 lawmakers are overreacting. But they're raising a question about the Utah adult probation and parole process for what they do, for paroling. State lawmakers, after a news report, this was a Salt Lake City TV station, aired an investigation where they found a bunch of internal issues with Utah adult probation and parole, problems with supervision failures, follow through on, when it comes to oversight or when it comes to, say, punishing an employee that deserved it, no follow through on those types of things. I didn't see the report myself. This is a report on the report I'm reading from here. This report is on the lawmakers today saying this concerned them. So this Salt Lake City TV station's report revealed that adult probation and parole is not, basically in a lot of cases, not following their own policy. So either the policy needs to change or some sort of accountability needs to be introduced to make sure the policy is being followed. That's what the report basically drives home. 3 lawmakers are saying that they were so concerned by this report when they saw the evening news report on TV that they're calling for an audit of Utah adult probation and parole, something the legislature can launch a legislative audit. And Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, Representative John Hawkins, and Representative Brady Brammer, 3 Republicans in the Utah House of Representatives, saying that they want an audit of the Utah adult probation and parole because of these recent stories. Recent reporting of stories where Utahns were attacked by convicted felons on parole. It's going to happen. I mean, that's the blunt truth of this. Someone is going to be paroled, and all the rules can be followed, although that doesn't appear to be the case in this situation, or at least 3 of the stories reported in this investigation by KUTV News. But it's going to happen. It's no system's going to be perfect on this front. The alternative is there isn't a process for parole, and at that point, maybe we have a longer conversation about length of sentences in general, things like that. I don't know. But the idea that you can completely eliminate any risk or possibility is just not realistic. So I think that's the real question here. These 3 lawmakers asking for the audit cite specifically, this is tragic. January 27th, 2020, a 15-year-old girl walking home from high school was abducted and raped by a recent parolee, a man named Creed Lujan. This is in West Valley City. He was granted parole by the Utah Board of Pardons in January of 2015, so it was 5 years in between his parole and this incident. He was serving time in 2015 when he was paroled on an attempted murder conviction when he was convicted of attempted murder, strangling a housekeeper, and almost killed her back in 2008. So A board hearing officer said doctors said that it was a miracle that his original victim survived because she was strangled so viciously. So this was a heinous crime that was committed. He was jailed for it or imprisoned for it, and then paroled. And in January of 2015, paroled, and then January of 2020 committed this second heinous crime that we know about. There may have been others in between. Another story the lawmakers cited, a handyman, Tony Martinez, working at a house in West Valley in 2020. He was gunned down by a parolee. Parolee took off on a stolen motorcycle and was captured the next day by police. But unfortunately, this handyman, just minding his own business, working on a home in a certain neighborhood, and this parolee comes by and guns him down. They didn't know each other. A third story cited by the lawmakers as example. They cited 6 different stories, but a third I'll present here to you. This was a 32-year-old mother of 2. One of the other stories involved a car crash that a parolee was driving the car that caused the crash, killed a young woman, a 17-year-old woman, and the parolee's car was full of black tar heroin at the time. He was obviously in the midst of a drug run. This final story that lawmakers mentioned, though, I'll present to you here. 32-year-old mother of 2. She survived multiple incidents of domestic violence throughout her time with an individual named Terrence Vos. But on May 1st, 2021, she was shot 12 times by Vos. And the medical examiner concluded that there were 42 bullet holes in her body as a result of entry and exit wounds. And Vos was currently under under the Utah State Adult Probation and Parole Surveillance Program at that time. He was a known gang member, thought to be a former gang member, but no one was sure. And so basically all these agencies knew about him, knew he was a risk. He was paroled, and they lost track of him. And this was attributed by adult probation and parole as a mistake on their part, a break in the chain of command of supervision is what they said in an internal investigation into how they lost track of this individual who in May of last year shot this woman 12 times in a domestic violence dispute. So that was these 3 examples of 6 that were presented by lawmakers. They say something needs to be done. They said that adult probation and parole here in Utah, not following its own policies, and even has some problems with their own management database on who they're supposed to be supervising in the first place. In many cases, the KUTV News report says they had outdated contact information that had been outdated for years on some of the people they're supposed to be in contact with on a weekly, monthly, or at least a couple of times a year basis. And they had no way to get a hold of them. I don't know. So the lawmakers want an audit. These are tragic situations, but I don't know what you do differently. Obviously, if there are internal errors and policies not being followed and people being let off the hook for not doing their jobs right, that should be addressed and could be discovered in an audit. So I think an audit's a great idea. But I worry, too, that this is something we've seen before, which is these tragic incidents that in context of how many parolees there are out there are few and far between, lead to this, I don't know, overgrown fear that leads to a situation, and we've seen this before in this country, where organizations like Utah State's Adult Probation and Parole are actually afraid to parole someone for fear they'll go out and commit another crime and it'll fall on their shoulders. What do you think? 753-5868. We'll get back to this one. Guest coming up on the other side of the news, Amy Anderson, and a guest joining us to talk about some things. The Sunshine Terrace Foundation is pretty excited to be able to relaunch after a year and a half of pause due to the pandemic. This is going to be really welcome news to a lot of caregivers here in the Valley, and Amy will be joining us right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:39. The news is brought to you by the Duck Hunter. A mask mandate has been reinstated for courthouses throughout a majority of the state, including Cache and Box Elder counties. The order issued by Utah Supreme Court Chief Justice Matthew Durant goes into effect Friday at both district and justice courts. Chief Justice Durant's order requires patrons and court personnel to wear a mask if the court is located in a county that has been designated as a moderate or high transmission index county by the Utah Department of Health. The mandate is not in effect for courts located in low transmission index counties. Now, Cache County is currently designated as a moderate transmission index county. Box Elder County is in the high level. Meanwhile, Rich County remains in the low transmission index, meaning the mask mandate does not apply there. Court spokesperson Valeria Jimenez said the order is in response to the most recent recommendations from the CDC, the sharp increase in Utah cases of the Delta variant, and the increasing number of individuals who are compelled to come to court now that in-person hearings and jury trials have resumed. Among the services now being offered by Cache County's new Children's Justice Center is a streamlined process for obtaining a child protective order. That service is possible thanks to a partnership between county officials and CAPSA, according to Terrell Warner, the director of the County Victim Services Division. Warner explained in a routine report to members of the Cache County Council on Tuesday that if a child protective order is needed for whatever reason, they now have a relationship with CAPSA and a designated person who comes to the CJC to begin processing that child protective order. The initiation of a child protective order is just one of numerous services available to victims of trauma or abuse at the Children's Justice Center. And the Sandy Police Department is trying to track down the shooter or shooters involved in a drive-by shooting that sent 2 teens and a 20-year-old to the hospital. The 3 victims were standing outside an apartment complex about 3:25 Tuesday morning in Sandy. One is in critical condition, a 20-year-old from Sandy who took bullets to the chest and thigh. He is expected to survive. Police were speaking with the other 2 victims, a 13-year-old from Midvale shot in the hand and an 18-year-old from Sandy shot in the ankle. They were both stable, according to police. Officers did not have any information on any suspects or vehicles involved as of yesterday morning. KVNU News Time is 4:42.
My friend John Hansen at the Duck Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork cleaned too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duck Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home.
KVNU weather for tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms this evening, then partly cloudy after midnight, low in the low 60s, partly cloudy, slight chance of storms in the morning, and then a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday, high around 90. And big jump in precipitation Friday and Saturday, 60% chance of storms Friday, 70% on Saturday. Well, earlier when the sun was shining, it was 95. 95 has been our high with thunderstorms all around us. It's cooled down now to 78 currently at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Cheryl bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Jeff Olson and Edward Jones. U.S. equities finished slightly higher, helped by solid corporate fundamentals and an unchanged Fed policy stance. Corporate earnings continue to come in strong, with results from technology heavyweights surprising to the upside, helping the NASDAQ outperform. Chinese equities were modestly lower following a 13% sell-off over the last 3 days due to the regulatory crackdown on internet companies. The Dow closed down 128 points at 34,931. The NASDAQ closed up 102 points at 14,763. The S&P 500 closed down 1 point at 4,401. In stocks of local interest, Nucor was up 1.02 to 99.40. Thermo Fisher was down 2.01 to 528.27. Wells Fargo was up 0.37 to 45.51. Walmart was down 0.58 to 142.06. Apple was down 1.79 to 144.98. Autoliv was up 0.38 to 97.21. Northrop Grumman was down 2.09 to 360.11. Zions was up 0.68 to 52.36. Amazon was up 3.93 to 3,630.32. R.R. Donnelley was down 0.04 to 5.86. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Jeff Olson, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 580 North Main in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact our branch office at 435-787-8170. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
If you're like me, you're excited to forget last summer. All last year, really, but we're all making up for it now. Last year's anticipated movies are now hitting the big screen. My COVID 20 pounds are finally coming back off, and Heritage is giving you something to really celebrate. We're calling it Make This the Summer Sales Event. And this isn't just Let's Get Back to Normal event. This is big. For example, we've got 2 rowdy muscle cars packed with some serious horsepower ready to light up your summer vacation. This month at Heritage, get 0% financing for 72 months and no monthly payments for 90 days on 2021 Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger. Plus, don't forget Heritage is your home for Ram truck. You can drive home a 2021 Ram 1500 Classic for only $309 a month for well-qualified buyers. Yeah, I'd say this summer's going to be pretty great. Your summer vacation starts at your hometown dealer. Heritage Auto, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals. And don't forget, we buy cars too. Visit heritageeprice.com.
Heritage Auto Group. Heritage. It's what drives our future. Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Paul Daines by calling 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, just wait until you hire an amateur.
Why the heck is the roof leaking? Larry, you said you got it fixed.
I thought it was fixed, Donna. Everything was fine until it started raining.
Larry, that's the point of fixing the roof, is so we can actually live here when it's stormy outside.
This is David with Roof Rescue. Our experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
Welcome back to KVN News for the people. This will be a surprise to no one but me, but we're off the clock here. We're going to quickly get back on the clock as soon as we can.
That has never happened.
I know, it's a first, right?
Yeah.
We have to, though. We have 2 very special guests joining us right now. We've been talking a lot about things that are coming back, and I know the news is mixed right now when it comes to the high transmission rate. The news you heard from Bill there at the bottom of the hour, that the courts here in Utah have reinstated a mask mandate because of elevated transmission. That said, with the vaccination rate here in Utah continuously increasing, a lot of things are returning to normal, and one of them is going to be, multiple things under the same umbrella is going to be really welcome news to a lot of caregivers here in Cache Valley, and that is the fact that the Sunshine Terrace Foundation and everyone involved with their large network of support they're able to get back to somewhat normal. And that does include a return of the Dementia Dialogues. Joining us right now, Dennis Wildman and Amy Anderson to talk about this. And Dennis, Amy, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. You guys have to be pretty excited about this. Many of these programs have been on pause for more than a year now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were able to sneak in a small version of Dementia Dialogues with a limited audience back in the wintertime, but we are thrilled to be able to offer it again in August. So you're absolutely correct, Jason. We're pleased that we can once again help educate our community on caregiving issues.
And this, for caregivers out there, this has to be a big breath of fresh air. I know these programs have been very popular and useful and essential for a lot of caregivers, but they've had very limited resources over the last year. The pandemic for caregivers was an entirely different beast than for most of the rest of us, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a great example, Jason. Thanks for that. As I'm also a clinical social worker, and I see that the added isolation has just really been really tough on our caregivers, and also mobilizing services. So those pressures they've been put on, we felt even stronger as a foundation that we need to reach out and do more. And, during that period of time, we still did our Zooms for our Peaceful Healing Grief and Loss group. We did some hybrid stuff with caregiver support. We're live again with that. But we're so excited to kick this Dementia Dialogue off again. And we're really excited that we've been able to do some partnership stuff with IHC. And
oh, wow.
They've worked with us at the hospital. We're going to mobilize the services out there. So
that is very nice. This is, an essential service in a lot of different ways for caregivers with this situation. To have these resources again, I assume for you guys, though, Amy and Dennis, it was for the entire Sunshine Terrace Foundation board. This was quite a challenge, right? How do you go about bringing these back, do it in a way that people are going to be comfortable with it and feel safe, but yet at the same time get these resources back out there again? You guys have spent the last year working on it, right?
We certainly have, and I think that's what makes this partnership with Intermountain a great one. We will obviously follow whatever guidelines Intermountain does for group gatherings. We're going to be meeting in one of their classrooms for it. So that's kind of that additional level of comfort we hope for individuals who are interested in coming to the class. It's going to be held in the Women's Center area in classroom number 8. So for people who come to participate, they should come into that entrance, and we'll be beginning at 3:30 till 5 every Wednesday in August. So, yeah, it has been a challenge, but as Dennis said, it's been an even greater challenge for those caregivers who have been feeling isolated and have been feeling that, what do I do next? Where do I turn? So for them to be able to gain knowledge and to be able to, as Dennis so eloquently always says, give them some new tools for their tool belt, this is going to be a great chance for them.
And that's a perfect way to describe this and many other programs that run through the Sunshine Terrace Foundation. The goal is to provide resources to people that are in a situation they can't get out of. They aren't getting out of it anytime soon. Everyone involved in the situation needs some sort of support, and yet sometimes finding those resources can be difficult. You guys are there to connect them, and I like that you use the word dialogues, too, because the goal is to have everybody walk away at least feeling better, but hopefully having learned something, and as you quote Dennis there, having some new tools. How do you guys keep is curriculum the right word to use? I'm not sure the right word to use here. How do you keep it fresh?
Yeah, actually it is. Curriculum is the right word. One of the things that drove us to participate in this program, it was created by the University of South Carolina through their School of Public Health. So it's a research-based program that ensures that caregivers are getting the appropriate information, the information that they need to best understand how to cope with the challenges of somebody with dementia. So each week we have different topics. So the first week is the basic facts, talking about what dementia is as a symptom and the diseases that prompt that. The second week we talk about dialogue, about communication skills, because as somebody's disease progresses, it changes how they can communicate and it changes how they hear communication.
Wow.
So we give people the skills for that. The third week, we talk about how to make sure your home is a safe environment and also challenging behaviors. I think that's one of the critical pieces of this program is understanding that it's the disease, not the person, and what you can do to help address those behaviors. And then we wrap it up with creative problem solving, which is where Dennis really shines.
I think that's a great example right there. You can see that I'm very blessed. I get to work with Amy. She's a great educator, and we try to take her education expertise and maybe some of my social work skills, and we make sure that we provide education, but we also back it up with some support, and we want the public to hear loud and clear. We still have our caregiver support group every week. It's hybrid. Yesterday, we had on 24 people, and 19 people were still in person.
Wow.
So we want people to know you can still be part of that, and these work hand in hand. But this is really a great opportunity for us just to simply increase people's knowledge base of
Sure.
this stuff.
It's an amazing opportunity, and we should point out for listeners as well, before we get into the details of this specific program, this is one of many programs that the Sunshine Terrace Foundation offers, and you should check them all out at sunshineterrace.org. You can see their programs, opportunities to volunteer, which is something that's also been on hold until recently, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But before we move on, Dennis and Amy, if someone's out there listening, how do they get involved? How do they sign up and make sure they can take advantage of the Dementia Dialogues program?
Sure. So first of all, I want to make sure people understand this program is completely free. Sunshine Terrace as a nonprofit, this is one of the ways we give back to the community that gives so much to us. So Dennis and I have done this training, and we dedicate time 4 times a year to teach this to the community. So no cost. They can call to register just so we know how much material to bring. They can give me a call. My office number is 435-754-0233, or they can email me at amy.anderson@sunshineterrace.org. And as I mentioned, the classes are going to be held all 4 Wednesdays in August from 3:30 to 5 at Logan Regional in Classroom 8.
Wow, very nice. Those details, again, can be found at sunshineterrace.org. And Amy and Dennis, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. Before we do part ways, you both mentioned there that these classes are hybrids, virtual and in-person options, but there are also multiple different support systems in play here through the Sunshine Terrace Foundation, and that again is sunshineterrace.org for more information there. But I wanted to make sure and get this in because it's been a long time since you've been able to even ask the community. Now it's safe enough to do so. Volunteers are needed, right?
Absolutely. We can always use volunteers in lots of different ways. We'd be happy to come on and talk to you another time about all the different ways that we can interact with people. Because, as you said, there's lots going on here. There's lots of need. And to me, also, whenever you volunteer, you get back as much as you give, especially when you're taking care of this generation that did so much for all of us here in Cache Valley. That opportunity to give back to them is an amazing reward for those who are volunteering.
Sure. And I find, a question for both of you, whoever wants to take it here, I find that people oftentimes greatly underestimate how many individuals and families are being affected by something like dementia.
Yeah, and I think that last week was a great example. We have 25 people in the room. Most of them are dealing with a loved one with dementia-type diagnoses. I think we need to realize that we have such a nice population in Cache Valley, but we also have healthy people who live longer, and so we do have more aging population. And so as a community member and as a foundation, we take that very serious, that we try to make sure we educate ourselves and we pass that education along. We're very proud of Sunshine Terrace Foundation, and this is our way of giving back to the community, so we're excited.
We appreciate you both taking some time to talk to us about it today, and we definitely will keep in touch, Amy, to keep updated as these things relaunch, as things continue to open back up. A lot of things still in flux, of course, But please, anyone out there, if you can make a donation, volunteer some time, just even learn more about the services and tell others about them, do so. SunshineTerrace.org is the website for the Sunshine Terrace Foundation. And our guests, again, have been Amy Anderson and Dennis Wildman of the Sunshine Terrace Foundation. And Amy, Dennis, very much appreciate taking some time for KVNU today and that you're out there providing these services.
Thank you.
And we'll speak again soon. Again, our guests there, Amy Anderson, Logan City Council member and Sunshine Terrace Foundation board member. Dennis Wildman, also a Sunshine Terrace Foundation board member. The return of Dementia Dialogues, a very popular and necessary, even essential service for many families here in Cache Valley. It is officially back, in person and virtual. There are many other programs you can take advantage of as well. More details coming on how you can volunteer and get involved. It's really nice to see this stuff happening again after being toned down or even completely paused for the last year plus. The Dementia Dialogue series is back via the Sunshine Terrace Foundation, sunshineterrace.org. Amy and Dennis, thank you one more time to both of you. And to listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned. On the other side, President of USU Noel Cockett on why the task force recommended changes when it comes to